I took the job because I needed silence. Not peace, just the kind of quiet that swallows every thought before it turns into something worse. The Wellers Point Lighthouse was perfect for that. It stood alone on a jagged rock island, the sea always thrashing around its base like it wanted to tear the tower apart. The mainland was only visible on clear days, a faint gray line that reminded me how far I'd come to be left alone. The man who worked here before me vanished last year. They said the waves took him, but the locals had another version. They said he went out during the red fog. The supply man mentioned it once, as he was unloading fuel barrels. He said there were nights when the ocean glowed faintly, when the mist turned crimson and the air grew so still you could hear whispers from the sea. That's when they come, he told me, while his hands shook slightly. If it ever turns red, stay inside. No matter what you hear. I thought it was superstition. For weeks, the work was uneventful. I kept the lights steady, logged the weather, and made sure the radio stayed functional. But there was something about the silence that didn't feel empty. It felt crowded. Like the air itself was holding its breath. Sometimes, at night, I would hear faint tapping from inside the walls, not from the pipes or the wind, but from deep within the metal structure, as if someone were knocking from inside the tower. By the third week, I found writing scratched behind one of the maintenance panels: "Don't trust the light." The letters were uneven, etched with something sharp, and beneath it, almost invisible, "They mimic it." I didn't understand what that meant until the night the fog arrived. It came in slow, like smoke rolling over the ocean. The air turned heavy and thick, and I could taste salt and something metallic on my tongue. The horizon disappeared, and the light from the tower's beacon began to look strange, bending, flickering. At first, I thought it was just a trick of visibility. But then I noticed that the light was flickering even when I shut the generator off. The bulb was dead, yet the tower kept glowing, a faint, pulsing red from within the mist outside. Then came the voices, not clear enough to make out words, but close, like several people whispering underwater. I couldn't tell where they came from. Every direction sounded the same, every echo bounced back into itself. And underneath the whispers, there was another sound, slow, dragging footsteps spiraling up the stairs. I tried not to move. The air was so dense that every breath scraped against my throat. The metal railing began to vibrate, and the beam of red light outside shifted, as if something enormous had passed in front of it. I could feel the tower breathing. The walls expanded slightly, contracting again, like the entire structure had a pulse. I went down to the lower level to check the foghorn system. That's when I saw the door. It wasn't on the blueprint, a rusted steel hatch behind the generator, sealed with a chain. On the metal, faint words were carved: "Keep them in." When I touched the lock, the sound above me stopped completely. The silence that followed was worse than any noise. My ears rang. The pressure built so fast it felt like my skull might split. Then I heard a single knock. From inside the hatch, something pressed against the door, slow but deliberate, bending the steel outward. I stumbled back, my flashlight shaking, and saw a thin red mist leaking from the cracks, curling toward me like smoke. It wasn't natural, it moved with intent, following me as I backed up the stairs. The higher I climbed, the colder it got. The light at the top was now fully red, spinning in slow, uneven circles. And in each rotation, I saw shapes forming inside the fog, human shapes, dozens of them, standing motionless on the rocks below, their heads tilted toward the tower. I remember thinking they looked like the missing fishermen people always talked about, the ones who never came back when the sea turned red. Then one of them moved. It lifted its head toward the light and started walking into the water. The others followed, hundreds now, their outlines dissolving and reforming with every flash of red. The sea boiled beneath them. I slammed the shutters closed, sealed every door, and stayed on the floor until dawn. the whispers never stopped. They grew softer, closer, until it felt like someone was breathing behind my ear. When the sun finally rose, the fog was gone. The tower was silent again. The sea calm. But the inside of the hatch was cracked open, and the air around it reeked of rust and salt. That I wrote everything down in the logbook. Every sound, every flicker, every shadow I thought I saw. Then I sealed the hatch with every chain I could find. 2 days later, the supply boat came. The man looked at me like he already knew. He didn't ask what happened. He just said, "If the fog turns red again, don't look outside." I left that night, but sometimes, when the wind shifts and the air grows still, I swear I hear that same whisper in my sleep, the kind that sounds almost like my own voice.
Like, comment, and subscribe. The Room 13 still has many doors left to open.